Hello, I'm Andrew Bailey, a consultant at Astun Technology. Last time I walked you through how to get point data from Astun Data Services into Power BI. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to get polygon data from Astun's iShare Studio and import it into iShare Insights with Power BI. In this instance, we're going to help colleagues understand the location of disadvantaged residents by producing an Index of Multiple Deprivation report with a map. This will enable them to target services more effectively and help an authority achieve its social value goals. Don't worry about making notes. You'll be able to access a step-by-step guide on our website. I have some Index of Multiple Deprivation award data for Surrey from the 2015 data set published by the UK government. So there is a column in this table for ranking. So it's an integer value, and that's what we are currently using to style with in QGIS. And we're going to replicate this same data set in Power BI. As before with the street crime data, we're going to publish this data set through iShare Maps API. The advantages of publishing it through a web interface, if there are any changes or you're not in control of that data, you can request an update to that data set within Power BI at any time. So to make that data set available, even though it's a polygon data set, we're going to expose it through iShare Maps API as a data set, and we are going to produce the text version of the geometry. So I have rather a particularly complex SQL statement for that, and what I want you to focus on is the geometry line here. So our geometry field is called WKB_geometry. And I'm using a function that is available in PostGIS 3, so this will be useful for anyone running iShare 6. They can use this function called simplify preserve topology, and I'm applying that at 25 meters. So it will simplify the complexity of the ward boundaries and remove any points that are within 25 meters of each other, but it will preserve the internal topology of that feature. We're going to publish that under 4326 projection, and we're also going to replace the comma values in that text output as pipes, pipe characters. And then when we get to Power BI, because we're bringing it in as this comma delimited CSV file, we're going to replace those pipes back as commas so the map can read that geometry field correctly. The last little bit of it is a select statement that is producing a fill color that we're going to use based upon the value of the deprivation score. So you can see what the data looks like in PG admin. So here's our polygon as text, and at the end we've got the additional columns such as the fill color, the ward, and here we've got the ranking value. So to expose that in iShare Maps through the API, we're going to choose to have a data share connection. So you can do add data source and select internal, and then you would apply your SQL statement. So you can obtain that from the documentation that follows this tutorial, but you will end up with something like this. I've called mine LSOA_IMD, and you can see the fields here. So here's the geometry one, and then we've got the code and the name for each ward, the rank and the fill color again. So over in Power BI, we can start with a fresh project. And the first thing I'm going to do is get the data. Plenty of options to choose from. I'm going to use the blank query down the bottom. And here I'm going to type equals CSV document, and it's going to use a web contents object, and that will take in a URL. And again, to avoid any previous caching, I'm just going to throw in an additional parameter that will be ignored by iShare Maps. So a few things I need to do. I need to remove this blank first row by selecting remove rows, then remove top rows, and just enter 1. And then it's a process of changing the column names. So we'll do that quickly. This will be RIB. Column 2 will be the geometry. And this is LSOA code. And LSOA name. I believe our column 5 is identical to column 4, so we can get rid of that. Column 6 is the ranking. And column 7 will be the fill color. Wonderful. I also need to replace these pipe characters in the geometry column. And if I select the column, then go up to transform, and then I can select replace values. And I want to replace the pipe with a comma and press OK. Wonderful. I will give it the query a name. And then go up to File and then select Close and Apply. Wonderful. So that data has now gone in. Power BI is happy with that. What I do need to do is get hold of the map visual that we're going to use. So I can do that from the marketplace if you don't have it already. So select 3 dots and then select Get More Visuals. And the visual we're going to use is one called icon map with a space. So type that into the search box, select icon map, and then select add to add it to your project. Okay, so our data is in Power BI. We've got the icon map visual, so let's make use of it. If I select it and just stretch out the space that it's going to occupy, and then I just need to populate a few fields to get our data on screen. So the first one, which is, you see there is marked as required, is a category. That is going to be my ranking. And then I also need to put in a size which will be ignored essentially because this is sort of really set up for point objects. So I'm going to use my ID for the size and just set it to count so it will behave nicely. Under format options, we've got a section called objects, and there I can specify a well-known text for a geometry. So this could be lines or polygons essentially. And to make use of this, I need to select a conditional formatting. So it's already set to field value, and no surprises, I select the geometry and then press OK. Then the map adjusts to the data that it's displaying. As you'll notice, it's all one standard color at the moment. We can change this by using the formatting, and you can see here that there's another conditional formatting option. And rather than a gradient, I'm going to use the field value, then select fill color, and then press OK. The data itself already has a transparency within it because they're RGBA values, so I can remove the transparency that is set at this level. And the last thing I want to do is provide a WMS layer on top, which will act as a mask beyond the Surrey area. So I can select WMS and paste in my WMS. So this is just a call to a map server endpoint, and my .map file has been enabled for WMS requests. So that information on how to do that is available in the documentation that goes along with this video. I've got two layers that I'm going to use. One is called Surrey_mask, and the other is Surrey. And then I can switch that on. And you can see the WMS request being populating. So there's a mask, and then it gives it a nice border to the data. I think that's it. So it's a nice, easy way of getting data into Power BI. If it's geometry data, there are some other methods. You could expose a GeoJSON file on the web if you wanted, in a web accessible file, and download from there, or you could connect directly to a Postgres database if your project is able to talk to that. I would recommend, if you are dealing with lots and lots of polygons, is to be wary of the memory size, but also the complexity of some polygons. And if you're able to use that simplify function, then by all means do so. And we're done. If you have any questions or would like a demo, please get in touch with us using the details on the screen. We'll be looking at more iShare insights with Power BI dashboards at our next user group. If you'd like to join us, and it will be fun, sign up for our newsletter to receive your invite.